Morning. Coming at you a little early. I can still feel the cold air. The cold air in my lungs. But I got things to do, so we got to come to you a little bit early today. 6 a.m. Just got in from running hill sprints in the outside, cold. And it's kind of freeing. We're going to talk a little bit about freedom today, wandering, and I'll certainly tie that into my experiences in the cold just now. Let me give a quick share here. Good morning, Lauren. Quick share, and then we're going to rock and roll with AMXbooks 600. 44. AMXbooks 644. Hi, Dread. Hi, Lauren. My early risers. All right. Let's do this. First, we got to activate the mic. Can't forget to do that. 1, 2, 3. Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the Spaniard Show. This is the Spaniard, and this is AMXbooks 644, studying the book Meat Eater, and this is by Steve Rinella, outdoorsman, philosopher, cook, conservationist, TV host, podcast host, a man of many things, and he's also a deep thinker and a dreamer. And I'm going to start talking today about the first element of excellence. So I just ran hills out in the cold, so if you hear me cough, or you hear me, if you hear the cold rattle of the cold air in my lungs, that's what it is. But I want to start off by talking about the role, the image of Indians played in young boys' lives, right? So Rinella is an outdoorsman, and he talks early and outwardly about seeing these, I'm going to name some of these guys, these heroes that he had when he was a kid and wanting to be like them. And it comes down back to the first element of excellence. I'm going to talk about the element here in a second, but he says this about the role of Indians in young boys' lives as well as his own, like kids who love to be in the woods. He says this, quote, "You can't overemphasize the role of wild Indians in the imaginations of all young boys who love to be in the woods. We grew up in one of two ways, either wanting to be a wild Indian or wanting to be a white man who hunted among wild Indians." He goes in to talk about some American heroes, and I really appreciate this book as well because it is history. It is history as well. So it's not just hunting, it's not just the outdoors, it's not just cooking information, it's history as well. My wife got me a book. It's called, oh, it's so wonderful. It's a National Geographic book. It's called a visual history of the earth or something like that. So it's got all of this information. This book is a smaller edition of that, but it is teaching me history. So, you know, Rinella's talking about the role that wild Indians played in his upbringing, wanting to be like them or wanting to be a white man who hunts among them. He names some guys like Daniel Boone, Simon Kenton, Jim Bridger, John Coulter, Jed Smith. He goes on to say this quote, and this is where we're getting to element of excellence number one. This is where we're getting to our vision, creating a vision. He says, quote, "I saw no reason that I shouldn't have a life of adventure like that, and I knew hunting was my way to do it." So this is element of excellence number one, vision, creating your vision from a young age. Steve Rinella had a vision. He wanted to be a mountain man. He wanted this life of freedom and adventure. And I think to myself, all right, Spaniard, you're creating your vision, right? And what hunting was to Steve Rinella, his way of executing this life of adventure, reading and learning is my way of executing that adventure. I have the same vision. Even at 37 years old, I'm not a kid anymore. At 37, I have this yearning for a life of adventure, a life of freedom, a life of creativity, and books are my way to do it. So whether it's through hunting, whether it's through books, whether it's through speaking, whether it's through teaching, whether it's through selling, no matter what it is, element of excellence number one, create your vision. Let's continue with this idea of freedom and adventure because it gets me all excited. It gets me smiling from ear to ear. He goes on to say, quote, "I got a tremendous sense of freedom from being in the woods like this, from wandering with no constraints. The hunting woods were a place where my brothers and I were our own men." How much time do you spend in the outdoors? Now, I'm coming to you as a, I don't know, I'll say a recent convert to having a deep appreciation for the outdoors. My wife got me a mountain bike for Christmas, so that's pretty awesome. I got some trail shoes. I got a mountain bike as well. How much time do you spend in the outdoors? Tim Kennedy, who's a former UFC fighter, Green Beret, military man, gun enthusiast, hunting enthusiast, outdoors enthusiast. He made a post a couple days ago. Now, he's a guy who's been in the trenches, right? He's been at war. He's been in professional fighting. So he's a man who knows what's what. And he put a post out that was talking about how to remedy depression. And it was by physical activity, it was by reading, it was by thinking, it was about connecting to other things. So that there's ways that you can help yourself feel better. And this show, while it's designed as, you know, with the basis of learning, it's especially meant to reach those people who feel isolated or who feel alone, and to bring a connection to them through learning. But I want to throw this out there. So why, I've asked myself, why is nature healing, right? Rinella's talking about the tremendous sense of freedom from being in the woods, from wandering with no constraints. The hunting woods were a place where my brothers and I were our own men. Why is it? If I would ask you that question, why does nature offer a sense of freedom or a sense of comfort? Why is it? To me, I think it's the overwhelming beauty of it, the overwhelming awe. And I've heard people say this, and I really like this idea. It lets you know how insignificant you are. And that's not in a negative way. It kind of puts things in perspective, that no matter how bad and terrible you think your problems are, there's a whole world outside of you. And being in nature has a healing aspect. It, to me, and I agree with that line, it kind of makes you, it connects you to something a lot bigger than you, and that in its sense is spirituality. Coming back to the first point of the role of Indians, learning about Indians, you understand that they're so connected to the earth, and they feel this sense of spirituality and this sense of connection to the earth. Bottom line, if you don't get outdoors, get outdoors. It might help you feel better. And then lastly, I absolutely love this part. So Rinella talks about his dad's assigning chores to them. His dad sounded like a pretty hard, tough guy. And he would assign chores to them and responsibilities to them, that they had to do certain things. And I smile when I'm thinking about this, because it reminds me of my parents, what I'm about to get to. So he said, so his dad viewed not doing the chores, right, as kind of like, no, you're going to do your chores. But he allowed for them to go hunting in place of their chores. And Rinella says that it took him a long time in life to realize why that was a valid excuse. Rinella says this about his dad, quote, he wanted his kids to be disciplined, tough, resourceful, and humble. I'm going to repeat that because I think that's awesome. He wanted his kids to be disciplined, tough, resourceful, and humble. He wanted us to be survivors. And he saw physical labor, the chores, and hunting as equally viable paths towards that goal. So his father wanted his kids to be disciplined, tough, resourceful, and humble. You don't get that for nothing. You don't get to be disciplined. You don't get to be tough. You don't get to be resourceful and humble and survivors by just sitting on the couch and eating Doritos. You have to work for it. Success is negotiable. All of this stuff is negotiable. What are you going to put in, and what are you going to get back out of it? I really resonate with that, because that's how our parents raised us. That's how my parents raised us. It's, hey, kids, work towards a goal, and we'll take care of the rest. I was so fortunate that they saw, you know, all of us, but me specifically, since I'm speaking from my voice, they saw, hey, you're dedicated to something. So if you stay focused and dedicated and put everything of you into this goal, classroom and state title, or classroom and wrestling, really, classroom, wrestling, college, wrestling, whatever, don't lose sight of academics and athletics, and we'll take care of the rest. It's exactly in alignment with what Rinella's dad's saying. And my parents did raise tough, disciplined, resourceful, humble survivors. But it comes from that. And this is a lesson, this is a parenting lesson, really. It's an appreciation of how my parents raised me. It's a acknowledgement of how I'm raising my kids. But it's also a reminder for us that, hey, if you want to raise these kids who are disciplined, tough, resourceful, and humble and survivors, they've got to earn it. You know, I love that Terry Brands, former Iowa wrestler, Spencer Lee, who was his protege as a freshman national champion. You get what you earn. That's kind of the motto, you get what you earn. I absolutely love this idea, because it's how our parents raised us. Work towards a goal. We'll help you get there. And I believe it's a great lesson for all of us. This has been AMXbooks 644, Studying Meat Eater by Steve Rinella. Quick reminder, if you'd like to help to support the show, the Spaniard Show, you can go to patreon.com/CharlieSpaniard for as little as $1 a month. Check out my speaking programs at charliespaniard.com/booking. Reviews, book lists on my website. See you, folks. I'll be back tomorrow. Go read a book. Whew, boy, I see all these comments, and I try not to look because I'll start laughing or get off track. I saw a bunch of LOL. All right, folks. I will see you all mañana for AMXbooks 645. I gotta go. See ya. It's not working. See ya.